The story unfolds with the nostalgic tune of "Those Were the Days" echoing through the setting, instantly establishing a tone of longing for a past that felt simpler, more orderly, and more comprehensible. Archie and Edith Bunker prepare in a small motel room for the funeral of cousin Liz, and their interaction reveals generational humor, conservative discomfort, and the looming anxiety of mortality. Archie complains about motels, suspicious desk clerks, and adult films advertised for guests. Edith, ever curious and polite, tries to understand why the clerk asked about the room's usage, but Archie suggests she looks guilty. Every line between them becomes a comedic misunderstanding, highlighting the difference between innocence and cynicism. Archie finds amusement in the cheap motel view consisting of parked Pintos and Toyotas, contrasting with Edith's earnestness about fixing her makeup. When she fears an open casket, Archie counters with rational bluntness, reminding her that death is natural, even if uncomfortable. Edith confesses she wanted to tell him he's wonderful before it's too late, and Archie deflects with pragmatic indifference, reminding her to clean the tie instead. Their dynamic shows love buried beneath sarcasm. At the funeral gathering, Archie tries to assess what valuables might be inherited. Edith mourns sincerely while Archie fixates on material possibilities like a silver tea set. Veronica, the close friend and roommate of Liz hosts, mourners in a modest but warm apartment. Archie is bluntly inappropriate, asking about funeral costs and insurance payouts, hoping to maximize Edith's potential inheritance. Edith admires the antique silver tea set, reciting the long lineage of its passage through generations, symbolizing family history. Archie dismisses sentiment and calculates resale value. Veronica excuses herself and moments later confesses privately to Edith a truth she had kept for decades. She and Liz shared a romantic partnership like a marriage. They lived together through 25 loving years, constrained by societal judgment and professional risks that would have cost them their teaching careers. Edith, initially confused, gradually grasps the implication and feels sorrow that love had to hide. She respects the depth of their bond and decides Veronica deserves the tea set more than she does seeing her as true next of kin in spirit. Archie, upon hearing fragments of this revelation, reacts with shock, prejudice, denial, and embarrassment. He rethinks the memory of kissing Liz once and misinterprets it as rejection rooted in orientation rather than disinterest. He argues loudly, showing the generational fear and ignorance of homosexuality. Edith defends compassion, insisting love is love regardless of gender, and that Liz and Veronica harm nobody. Ultimately, Archie yields, begrudgingly refusing to take Veronica to court or risk her losing her teaching job. He even tries to offer crude advice, telling her to find a man, yet unknowingly reveals his inner struggle, a yearning to feel morally correct while trapped in outdated beliefs. As he leaves, he steals a small sugar tong, a petty act, symbolizing his lingering greed and resistance to change. Days later, a separate episode begins with the wedding of two elderly residents of the Sunshine home. Edith offered their house as the venue volunteered to be matron of honor, promised Archie would be best man, and that she would sing "Oh Promise Me." Archie resists because he plans a fishing trip at 6:30 a.m. With Barney and Blanche at a cabin owned by an uncle cherishing the masculine ritual of outdoors escape, he demands to skip the ceremony, arguing early departure is crucial. Edith stubbornly refuses, saying breaking her promises would devastate the elderly couple. Their argument expands into a classic marital dispute, referencing past disagreements, baby names, apartments, and family preference, revealing the weight of years. Archie threatens to leave without her, illustrating selfishness disguised as practicality. Edith counters that if he abandons her, he might as well keep walking. Their fight peaks with emotional exhaustion. Eventually, Archie persuades Barney to delay departure, but only after leveraging a secret from a past hotel convention involving questionable behavior. Blanche overhears the blackmail implication and reinforces the leverage. Edith rushes to complete the cake and finds something blue for the bride. The wedding begins awkwardly, featuring Edith's slow rendition of "Oh Promise Me" corrected mid-song by switching to the bridal march. Archie rushes the reverend by urging a shortened ceremony due to his impatience. The groom Harold hides in the closet from cold feet, uncertain of marriage so late in life. But Archie lectures him on companionship, sexuality, and masculine duty. Finally, the couple wed, And despite tension, everyone celebrates modestly. When Harold hides again, refusing to face the honeymoon, Archie proposes taking the elderly newlyweds along on the trip. Barney initially refuses, but Blanche insists. Thus, the fishing trip becomes a comedic caravan, including a hesitant groom reflecting companionship and absurd generosity. Soon after, Archie appears dressed like a flashy barkeeper preparing for the grand opening of his new saloon called Archie's Place. He calls in sick to his factory job, lying about bad fish. Despite Edith's fear, he will be fired. He boasts about becoming successful and proclaims he will never get too important to look down on his family, ironically missing humility. At the saloon, Archie barks orders at Harry. The bartender complains about powder in the toilet tank and micromanages stools. Harry reminds him that Archie was once a friendly patron, but now behaves like a tyrant. Annoyed, Harry quits to work at McFeeney's topless bar down the block. Carlos the busboy leaves with him. Archie loses key staff on opening night. Gloria and Michael volunteer to help. Gloria waits tables. Michael tends bar Edith hosts. Archie panics but mobilizes them. Customers arrive, including the Cleavers, celebrating their anniversary. Archie frequently interrupts Edith's storytelling to avoid wasted time, but she naturally overshares adorable anecdotes. Arrivals include church organist Mr. Bilkey to play piano, asked to keep lively tunes. The bar scenes mix flattery, cheap flirtations, generational awkwardness, and slapstick liquor orders like Harvey Wallbangers. Archie invents cocktails using random ingredients disguised by dark glasses. Gloria fends off a drunken grab using dramatic domestic abuse, lies to repel harassers. Suddenly, Mr. Sanders, Archie's loading dock boss, appears. He confronts the lie about sickness and warns Archie that saloons require financial expertise. Sanders predicts failure. In defiance, Archie quits dramatically. Harry returns briefly to retrieve his bartender guide, then leaves again, bragging about topless waitresses. Archie insists topless bars are vulgar and claims that once you've seen two, you've seen them all. Edith and Archie sing side by side to lift spirits, and the bar enjoys a rare warm moment. But shadows creep behind the laughter. Later, business declines. A bill collector arrives threatening to repossess refrigeration equipment if Archie cannot pay nearly $3,000. Comic exaggeration about daughters and widowed customers masks real financial stakes. Harry returns to taunt him. Competition thrives. Arch spirals into irritability and bitterness, throwing eggs at Barney, shouting at everyone, lamenting unpaid tabs and vanishing crowds. Friends urge him to take small mood pills, claiming truck drivers and athletes use them. Archie resists, but curiosity wins. He pockets the pills. One restless night, stimulant-induced mania surges. Archie paints the porch at 3 in the morning, shouting greetings at neighbors. He swings between manic singing and grandiose declarations. Edith pleads, but he ignores sleep, believing productivity is salvation. The pills exaggerate ambition and delusion. Eventually, he collapses into exhaustion and headaches, as their daughter, Gloria, and son-in-law, Michael, observe with concern. They interpret the behavior as addiction. Edith remains quietly frightened. At the bar again, Archie's hands tremble. He snaps at helpers, refuses food, gobbles cigars, and claims the world overeats. His denial worsens. He insists on systems and efficiency experts because newspapers say businessmen need them showing surface-level absorption of trending business jargon without real understanding. He believes the bar will flourish only if he keeps pushing harder, another sign of addiction to stimulation, productivity, and pride. Michael gently offers help, but Archie denies his decline. The jukebox, empty stools, unpaid bills, and lonely cigar smoke reveal decay. Still a vestige of pride flickers. He declares one bar could become 2, each doubling success. He imagines expansion before mastering the basics. His family loves him but watches helplessly, knowing he clings to dignity through business identity. The tone becomes tragicomic, portraying the slow collapse of an ordinary working man seduced by the American dream's pressures. The bar is not merely a business. It is Archie's attempt to override aging irrelevance, economic vulnerability, and fear of change. Pill's pride and impatience fuse into combustible chaos. Yet beneath comedic arguments, we see emotional truth aging men witnessing a world that no longer resembles their youth scrambling to assert authority. Through funerals, weddings, and business ventures, the narrative threads echo the same theme: relationships shifting against rigid conventions, forced vulnerability, and the challenge of accepting others' truths. Veronica and Liz's hidden partnership contrasts Archie's loud heteronormative marriage. Elderly lovers defy assumptions about romance. Archie's saloon dream challenges class mobility and reveals capitalism's strain on working families. Edith's soft resilience becomes the moral anchor of every situation. By the end of this portion, the bar's dim hum and Archie's trembling resolve paint an intimate portrait of fragility disguised as bravado. As the night drifts into silence, his family sits close sipping drinks. They didn't want anchoring him with presence because they cannot anchor him with words. Archie promises he will figure things out, but fear flickers behind his forced grin. Even as the jukebox plays, the room feels like a crossroads. As Archie continues to spiral under pressure, the environment of the bar becomes a mirror of his internal chaos. His reliance on stimulant pills intensifies. He insists he can quit anytime, a denial familiar to anyone slipping into dependency. The loud, restless pacing around the room, the abrupt changes of subject, and the manic belief that painting porches at impossible hours somehow symbolizes productivity all signal that he no longer controls his impulses. When he yells greetings at startled neighbors under moonlight, what should be comedic becomes unsettling. Edith's attempts to bring him inside reveal fear. She is powerless to slow him. Sleep deprivation blends delusion with misplaced ambition, and the once charming stubbornness now feels dangerous. His family observes, quietly uncertain whether intervention will ignite his temper. The story transitions into a scene of breakfast the next morning where Archie refuses food. Edith, as always, mothers him with patience, insisting hotcakes and sausage are ready. He insists he doesn't need food, preferring cigars, claiming falsely that the world eats too much. Ignoring nourishment is symbolic. The fundamental support systems he once relied on, job, family, meals routine, now seem beneath him. He wolfs down a few bites to appease Edith, then rushes to his saloon, frantic and sweaty. The stimulant pills masked as productivity boosters have become emotional crutches. In a moment of comedic honesty, Mike tells Gloria that the waiter at schoolyards also uses such pills, hinting at the normalization of addiction in modern society. This adds commentary. The pressures of success create chemical shortcuts. At the saloon, customers remain sparse. The emptiness of the bar echoes Archie's growing isolation. The bar itself is his identity now. Losing business feels like personal failure. He forces friendliness at inappropriate times, greeting a newcomer with exaggerated enthusiasm that startles them. His eyes dart for signs of approval. When a bill collector returns, threatening to repossess the refrigeration unit, the stakes become undeniable. Archie pleads that he mortgaged his house to buy this place. The collector unemotional lists payment instructions. Archie, desperate, tries humor, inventing stories about widows nibbling his fingers. But the man leaves, promising to return Wednesday with removal orders. The clock on the wall ticks louder in Archie's head. Harry returns, occasionally more confident now that he works somewhere with action. He mentions topless waitresses and brags about crowd sizes. He taunts Archie by claiming to attract Archie's old customers across the street. Archie tries to act superior, saying topless bars are unclassy, claiming once you have seen two breasts, you've seen them all, but his envy is palpable. He points, fingers, tells Harry he could rub liver on his behind, and not even cats would follow, revealing childish spite. The rivalry is comedic, but also tragic. Archie can barely maintain staff or customers, yet pride prevents him from asking for help. As the day grows later, Archie becomes more agitated. He throws eggs at friends like Barney, who merely tried to use the restroom. The egg splatter is not just slapstick, it is symbolic frustration splashed against anything that trespasses his fear. Each broken egg is a cracked fragment of self-esteem. Barney is bewildered. He reminds Archie of drinking culture camaraderie, old laughs, but Archie blames everyone else for his failure. Pills accelerate his irritability, creating up and down swings reminiscent of mania. Later that night, Archie collapses emotionally in his empty bar. Gloria and Mike bring Pepsi and news of Joey, hoping to lighten the mood. Archie, however, hears disappointment in their eyes. He talks about systems and efficiency experts referencing magazines and newspaper articles about modern business strategies, but his understanding is superficial. These are buzzwords clumsily clung to by someone drowning. Still discussing systems gives him the illusion of control. Edith sits quietly beside him. He confesses indirectly through sarcasm and scattered logic that he feels the world has changed too fast. Men like him once found dignity in labor. Now business models, trends, bartending guides, and new entertainment like topless acts make him feel obsolete. He becomes nostalgic for a time when hard work alone was enough. But nostalgia doesn't pay bills, and the silence between jukebox songs reminds him of looming collapse. In the following scene, after another sleepless episode, he returns home exhausted. Edith begs him to sleep, and he agrees only after a prolonged argument. As he heads upstairs, he stops again, obsessively insisting he must finish painting the porch, a comically tragic metaphor. He paints surfaces instead of addressing the foundation. He slaps paint, chaotically waking neighbors across the block. They peek out windows angrily while he sings "Open the Door." Cheese-like mania smears across his behavior, and he urges Edith to dance. She refuses gently, saying she's too tired. He threatens gently in jest. If she won't dance, he'll make her, but the subtle threat hides desperation. Then he claims she wants to go to bed for impure reasons, teasing her awkwardly narrating fantasies loudly to the neighborhood. Edith blushes with humiliation. Neighbor windows slam. Barney joins outside, reminding him about the hour, but Archie insists Barney is singing the wrong key. Nothing around Archie matches his internal tempo. Even time feels offbeat. Eventually, Edith grabs him and pulls him inside to stop the spectacle. Morning arrives. The family strategizes quietly about how to approach Archie. They discuss hallucinations, chemical dependency, denial, and fear. They worry that confronting him will cause aggression. Meanwhile, Archie rushes back to the saloon without breakfast cigars lining his pockets. At the bar again, a moment of loneliness finally softens him. A frail voice from within admits, "I can't even race a lousy rub a boom." He begins singing Irish tunes to distract from panic. His hands twitch. When the bill collector returns one more time, Archie throws jokes, claims he read the tale of a fullback finishing games with busted knees, tries to reframe stimulant abuse as professional toughness. The collector hears but is unmoved. He cares only about money owed. In the brief reprieve afterward, a gleam of vulnerability shows. Archie sits on a bar stool, peers into an empty glass, and says quietly that maybe one bar could become two. Then he whispers a rhetorical question, why not dream? But dreams require foundation, and his has cracks. He refuses to see. He feels economic vulnerability like a weight on his ribs. Edith and Gloria stop by again, and the bar feels momentarily alive as they stand near him. Human warmth breathes hope. Edith suggests he needs rest. Gloria advises sober reflection. But Archie dismisses both, gently insisting he is fine, just tired. He cites, pride men cannot show weakness, especially fathers. Instead of vulnerability, he chooses denial singing lines from Side by Side about traveling together through unknown futures. The family joins reluctantly. They smile, but worry flickers behind their eyes. Perhaps they feel that love alone cannot correct dangerous momentum. Archie may need consequences, not comfort. Later alone again, he faces silence. A bar without laughter smells of spilled drinks and regret. He pressures himself harder, pacing in circles. He decides he must call someone a mysterious efficiency expert, believing a system will solve everything. Yet as he reaches for the phone, his hand trembles violently. His vision blurs. For a moment, he considers taking more pills, fingers hovering, but he resists barely. The restlessness inside refuses to quiet. He shouts at empty chairs that the place will be packed soon. His voice echoes. The emptiness answers truthfully. A brief comedic scene erupts when Barney returns just to use the restroom again. When he jokes that McFeeney's beer is too strong, Archie snaps throwing eggs again. But this time, the yolk lands on Archie himself, dripping down his clothing. Barney leaves confused, sad for his friend. Archie sighs. He feels defeated. The egg becomes symbolic of fragile identity cracking. Later still, the stimulant ebbs, causing profound exhaustion. Archie falls asleep at the counterface pressed against wood. Edith comes to collect him. She whispers his name gently. He stirs confused and asks if customers arrived. She shakes her head. He lowers his gaze. The truth now weighs heavier than humiliation. When they leave the bar in silence, grandma-like streetlights illuminate the lonely sidewalks. Archie walks slowly, no bravado left. Edith whispers that she's proud he tried a gesture of emotional rescue, but Archie barely replies. The narrative pauses not with comedic punchlines, but with the quiet suffering of ordinary Americans struggling to keep up with the world. The thematic arc across these episodes deepens. Each storyline reveals society changing faster than older generations can adjust. Liz and Veronica's relationship shows hidden love suppressed by hostile norms. The elderly couple's wedding illustrates the pursuit of companionship even against age stereotypes. Archie's business collapse demonstrates the accelerating pace of capitalism competition novelty acts and the decline of neighborhood bars. Beneath comedic banter lies fear of irrelevance, vulnerability, change difference, and invisibility. Edith the Emotional Compass shows empathy toward all groups, queer couples, elderly lovers, failing businessmen. She embodies compassion amid chaos. The narrative implies that true success isn't profit but relationships, the very thing Archie fails to nurture while chasing financial validation. His bar collapses because he doesn't listen, engage, or adapt. He wants authority, not hospitality. Bars thrive on warmth, not ego. Meanwhile, his pill episodes reveal stress's toxic expression when trapped behind masculinity's expectations. Archie represents a generation told never to cry, never to doubt, never to fail. As these shields crack, frustration spills like broken eggs on barroom floors. And yet, comedy rescues tragedy from despair. Every moment is framed with laughter, musical interludes, and neighborly banter. The narrative suggests that community can absorb and soften personal failure. Even if Archie loses the saloon, he still has Edith's forgiveness, Gloria's concern, and Mike's hesitant affection. The warm glow of family remains lit even as business lights dim. Laughter becomes a life raft. As the part closes, Archie sits at a bar stool alone, humming softly. The jukebox clicks to silence. He stares at a glass half full or half empty. The audience senses that consequences are approaching, and Archie will soon confront truth not through sermons, but through experience. He whispers almost to himself, one bar could be two. But the echo answers first, one bar must survive.